The other day, it was announced that WB is actually making their Smash Bros. Like game. Now, they call it a platform fighter. There are a lot of platform fighters, and there are a lot of games that I don't want to say tried to capitalize off of the formula of Smash Bros., but I would say were very inspired by it. It remains to be seen if any of them can have the staying power that Smash Bros. Has. I would argue probably not, considering the amount of IP that has access to. However, if anyone could maybe do it other than Marvel, I would say that WB could, especially with this approach. And that's why I wanted to take a look at Multiversus, which is coming soon in 2022 and going to actually be free to play, which we will talk about as well. Before we hop fully into it, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. I appreciate you very much. We are growing rapidly towards 100,000. It is very humbling and awesome to see. But let's get back into it. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this game, first off, is the roster, because the roster is not just Injustice 3. It is not just another run-of-the-mill WB fighter or anything like that. What it is going to be is cross-IP as well. Not only do they have characters from DC like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Harley Quinn, but they also have classic cartoon characters such as Shaggy from Scooby Doo, Bugs Bunny from the Looney Tunes, Jake and Finn both from Adventure Time, Steven Universe and Garnet both from Steven Universe, Tom and Jerry, Arya Stark is actually in here from Game of Thrones, Rain Dog, who is an original character that they made. So there are a lot of characters here, but there's also not. So far we've seen, I believe, 13 is the amount on the roster so far that has been revealed. I am not sure if it will launch with, a lot more than this. However, they did say that this is basically not the complete roster. There is going to be more to it, and also there will be more characters added over the life cycle of the game. Now, I think this is what interests me the most with the game, because it does have what looks like fun combat to me. However, it does look like slower Smash Bros. In a lot of ways. I am unsure what to make of it until getting my hands on it, which we can't do yet. But I do think that the graphical art style is really charming. It does look sort of like a 2.5D-ish animated fighting game. It has some charm to it, and a lot of those characters have fun designs, and they did say that there will be more skins and more cosmetics to come as well over the course of the game's life cycle. They did also say that to prevent what a lot of fighters have issues with, they worked really, really heavily on the netcode to prevent input lag and make this experience good for online play. And I think that this is one thing that's great and also a little concerning for me personally. I don't really play fighters online. I know I'm in the minority on that. I personally just play against, computer, like AI, or not really at all when it comes to fighters. My reasoning for that personally is just that I don't have the time to put into getting insanely good at these things. If people do, that's cool. I'm happy for you, but I've noticed that with games in the fighting genre, there's a real expectation that that's pretty much the only game you're playing for weeks on end or months on end to get really good and competitive. That's never really been my thing. So I've always been very casual with these. And I guess for me, one concern I do have is if this actually does matter for single player. They did say that they will also be tailoring the game to single player style. However, I don't know to exactly what extent. The game does support 1v1, 2v2, and 4-player free-for-all matches, and these are also set in stages that are actually they're very, very inspired by these WB properties. They did show things like the Batcave or Jake and Finn's Tree Fort, which IGN pointed out in their own article encapsulating this announcement. I don't want to be negative about this because I do think that it's a cool idea. I think it's neat to see things like, Steven Universe crossover with Adventure Time, crossover with Scooby Doo, crossover with Looney Tunes, something like that. That's neat. This is a concept that Nintendo did perfect with Smash Bros, despite my own gripes about them kind of ignoring some of what fans wanted to see out of the IP inclusions. And I think that for me, that's the biggest thing that I'm hoping, other than actually tailoring this to people of different play styles. You know, if you want to mess around on your own, just by yourself, I hope that this game is fun, not just focused on online play, but also I'm really hoping that there is actually a focus on what the fans want to see, what characters that we could see in this game going forward, because there is potential for more DC Comics characters, of course, but I don't think that this roster necessarily needs to be bogged down by only that, right? There are tons of classic Looney Tunes characters that would certainly work in a fighter like this. When you have Bugs Bunny, you know, just off the top of my head, someone like Taz would work really well. You know, the Roadrunner. There are characters that would be really cool to see in here, and that's just from only that. That's ignoring all the other stuff that WB owns. And so that's why I think that there is a lot of potential here with this game, with the amount of characters they own, but it only is going to matter if they get the gameplay style right. And also, with this being free to play, I am immediately cautious about that aspect. I cannot think of many free to play games that do not come off like mobile games, you know, that are not immediately asking you to buy things all the time to fund them. And hey, that's their prerogative. The game's free. But at least for me, when the game is basically harassing me to constantly purchase things in order to make the game enjoyable, that really ruins the experience for me. Whenever I see that kind of stuff, I'm a little cautious. The only game I can think of that is free to play that I personally have enjoyed much of is actually Fortnite. And even for that game, if you get sucked into it, you can pay a lot of money for cosmetics. You know, they really will get you on that because they do have a lot of creativity with those things, which is cool. But if you sort of feel like you're missing out on big aspects of the game because you're not buying into it, then it might as well have had that $60, $70 price tag anyway. I suppose at least it doesn't have that and is also nickel and diming you, but I digress. It's a concern that I have with this game. I do think that the gameplay style looked fun. I think that it's a cartoony, simplified version of what you'd expect from these characters. You know, Batman in this is very, very cartoony. It's not supposed to be taken super seriously and realistic, but it does look fun to me, and it does look like there actually was thought put into designing these stages. I just am interested to see to what extent. You know, and with the inclusion, I will say, of Shaggy, with the whole Ultra Instinct type Shaggy meme, where he powers up and stuff, it obviously will not be called that, since they're not going to steal from Dragon Ball. But even with that, we already do see some inclusion of what the community would want to see. You know, this was a meme that got spread all over the internet for months at a time. It's a little late to cash in on the meme, but I think people will really enjoy it and find that fun. And I think that at the end of the day, if this is just a fun experience that you can sort of plug in, you know, assume the roster is, they showed like 13-ish. I'm assuming the roster is probably 20 for launch, maybe slightly more than that. I could be wrong. But assuming that it is that, you know, you can turn it on, get a couple hours of fun out of it for a free game, that's cool. I do hope that it has more lifespan to it than that, and that this turns into something bigger. And personally, on a side note, I do think Smash Bros. Needs the competition. You know, Smash Bros. Has been a great series, but I think that it's very easy to get complacent, especially when there's no one who can compete with you. And when it comes to Smash Bros. With other games that are actually platform brawlers or platform fighters, there's really not much taken seriously on the level of Smash Bros. At all. I think, you know, PlayStation tried one time with PlayStation Heroes, obviously, and they just completely got rid of it. They just went away from it, which is too bad because there was potential there too. And a lot of other people who have really built themselves up, like, you know, the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, they were not everything that people wanted to see from them in a Smash Bros. Competitor. So free to play plus the idea of bringing in a competitor to Smash Bros., which is paid, is cool. I'm glad to see that. I want to see more games like this in the market. And I think it's awesome to see with a bunch of IP that we really love. I just hope for the best. I don't expect the worst, but I'm sometimes a little hesitant with some of the things I talked about. I am interested to hear your thoughts, though, in the comments down below. What do you think about this game? Do you think Multiversus could be a great game? Do you think it will have staying power? Do you think it will fizzle out? What characters do you want to see? I think I actually will, maybe do a couple top fives of characters I want to see come to this game eventually, but I'm interested in your ideas as always. Please be sure to check out everything in the description down below. We have everything down there, including the Patreon, where you can help support the channel and get access to almost now 100 exclusive Patreon videos. I appreciate you guys very, very much, and I will include the list of names of our supporters right here. Thank you guys, you are awesome. And also, we have the secondary channel Degenerate Plays down there, where we hang out with you guys, play through a ton of games, and everything else that I hope you will check on out. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.